If you want to lead yourself, lead with your head. But if you want to lead others, lead with your heart.
Was becoming CEO expected of you?
Actually, Jacob, it's unexpected. It was not even something that I had planned to become. There's no other oxygen anywhere else. So we have to make the decision, if the tanker doesn't come and we run out of oxygen, who gets the oxygen first? Who doesn't get the oxygen? Appreciate people, and my number one as a leader.
So I know a little bit about your background, right? You're born and raised in the Bahamas. Dad was Haitian. But let me ask you, was becoming CEO expected of you, or was it normal where you came from?
So I would say it's actually, Jacob, it's unexpected. It was not even something that I had planned to become. My journey started as I started here at the Memorial Healthcare System as a staff radiation therapist. So my focus was to come in, like every young person, I was 24 at the time, come in, do my work, go home, hang out, party, enjoy life. I was 24-year-old.
That was your schedule.
That was my schedule. I didn't have any responsibilities. I wasn't married.
Yeah.
I had just bought a home. So I was single and independent, and my focus was on self, and I'd completed this big task of finishing my education. So my focus was now on making sure to take care of me.
I asked that because you're not saying you're a product of your environment. Do you think that's true?
I think it is true, because in my experience here, so I'm a staff therapist working, focus on that. There's an opportunity where the person that brought me from Mercy Hospital left. She decided to leave the organization. Her position becomes available as a chief therapist of the department. Many of the senior therapists who had been here many more years experience than I have decide they don't want to take on leadership. I'm approached by a gentleman by the name of Jeff Esham, who was the vice president, administrative director over the cancer program at the time. And he says, hey, you have a lot of potential. I can see that people gravitate to you. I see that you take initiative. You always have suggestions. Why don't you consider applying for the chief therapist position? And I'm like, yes, that's fantastic. But how do I go about doing this and taking on leadership? And he says, look, I'll mentor you. I'll help you, but I can only help you so far.
Interesting. So I asked it because, like you said, where you came from, the Bahamas, the CEO was not normal, right?
So CEO, not normal, Haitian background as well. Not normal in terms of I had accomplished, for my parents, I'd accomplished what they wanted for me. I was able to get an education. I was able to have a career in radiology, radiation therapy. So as far as my parents were concerned and people were concerned, listen, I had a job that I know would be able to sustain me and my needs. And as I would grow, continue working, I would be able to, when I decided to have a family, I'd be able to sustain my family as well.
Interesting. But I say the product of your environment because I was talking with someone the other day and they said, well, I don't think you're a product of your environment. I think you're a product of what you believe, right? A person from a low-income household can say, well, I came from a low income, so that's what I am. That's the reality of my life. Versus someone in the same situation coming from a low income and say, you know what? I can use the benefits to me. I can use the resource of getting a free education. I can use this to level up in life, get further. So that's why I ask you that, because it wasn't normal from where you came from.
That is correct. And I agree with you. I think the statement that you made was just crystal clear and so important, especially for young people to understand that aspect of it. Meaning leverage what opportunities are presented to you and work on it. Again, I came in, I had a job. I was happy, satisfied financially. I was where I needed to be for my age at that time. But I saw the opportunity. I saw the opportunity when I became chief therapist, and now I'm in charge. I'm making decisions. I'm involved in bigger meetings. Needless to say, I walk in the room, not everyone looked like me, looked around and said, hey, why not me? Okay, what did it take, Jeff, for you to become the admin director? What do I need to do to become an admin director? He was mentoring me, but he said, you need to go back. You need to pursue your education. There's a lot to be learned from that. So one of the things that I committed myself is, you know what? I need to go back. I need to complete my bachelor's, but master's degree was really my focus, that I need to get my master's. So as soon as I was able to go back to, and thank goodness, Broward College with the business and leadership program, I was able to take that And that opened the door for me to become the director of the department because you needed a bachelor's to become the director. And subsequently, I said, I need a master's. Which program locally will work with me? And FIU was just perfect. FIU had the mixed cohort of online and being able in class on the weekends. And I said, look, I'm going to do it because I realized that these were the things that are needed for me to get to the next level. And that's so important for young people to understand. You might not go straight into a master's program. You might say, I don't need a bachelor's degree. I'm just going to do technical school and I get that skill set. But when those opportunities present themselves, you have to be able to double down and make sure that you push ahead and be able to do it.
A lot of leaders in various companies, mayors of cities, but a lot of people talk about this, that you find people where their strength is where your weakness lies, right? And another thing about leadership that I find interesting is that most people's story, becoming a CEO, becoming a business owner, there's the point where they have to make the tipping, right? Am I going to be complacent and like kind of stay comfortable where I am, or am I going to keep achieving things? And I think you kind of had that moment where you were in your 20s, you liked the job that you were at. You're like, do I really need to become this? Do I really need to keep going? Did you have that moment?
I did. You have doubts. Like I said, I was a young guy. So of course I had doubts. Do I want to do this? Why? Because you asked the question, if I have 3 or 4 people here with 15, 20 years experience, why is it that they're not choosing to take on this role? I think one of the things that Jeff told me along the way is like, leadership is a lonely road. And I'll give you a story so you can appreciate it, right? So I used to eat lunch every day with the staff when I was one of the staff members. We eat lunch, we'll be in the lunchroom, we'll be joking around, and it's free-flowing and it's loose. I become the chief therapist and I walk into the room, same colleagues, same people, crickets. You walk in, the jokes stop, the conversation stop. People are very focused, a lot more serious. It's like, come on, I'm the same Vedner that was with you a month ago, but all of a sudden now it changes. So there's some level of loneliness to leadership because you have to make tough decisions. You have to be courageous. You have to be, like I said, one of the things I talk all the time, as a leader, you have to be ready to challenge, but be ready to be challenged. And that is the complexity, and that's what makes leadership hard, because sometimes it's easy for me to say, Jacob, I need you to focus on X, Y, Z, but I need to be ready when you, Jacob, say, Vedner, well, I need your help on X, Y, Z, or these are the things I think that you can help me with, or these are things that you may want to consider as we transition to whatever the plan is.
So let me ask you, going back to the decision making, you said some decisions are hard to make and to be, I think that's part of leadership. You have to make the tough decisions that others won't, and they look at you for the hard decisions. When everything is going south, and you may not have the answer, guess what? They still look to you. So how do you approach a situation as a leader, right, that you may not know the answers to, but everybody's looking for you to the answer?
I'll give you a perfect story. So I get promoted to CEO at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. I become CEO.
Yeah.
New CEO is the first time I've been a CEO, although I've ran many programs and services. We're dealing with the COVID pandemic. A lot of people don't know the nightmare we went through as a leadership team during COVID.
I think just I'll say a thank you from all the audience, because we really don't understand it just being a civilian, but thank you.
Well, I'm going to give you the story of stories to truly define when I, as a leader, hit the most difficult, and I hope never to experience this ever in my life. So when patients with COVID, we were giving oxygen. Typically, if you go on a hospital campus, you'll see the huge oxygen tanks outside. They're usually big and they're usually sealed off. Typically at Memorial Miramar, we would get oxygen once a month. So once a month, a big truck comes in. It looks like the trucks that carry the gasoline, and it'll come in, it connects, it fills up our oxygen tanks, and we have oxygen for all of our patients. But during COVID, we were overran, and since COVID was a respiratory condition, you're talking about patients on ventilators, but we are also putting patients on a device called a BiPAP. And a BiPAP, if you think normally you see a nasal cannula is what the people put in their nose, usually you're getting, say, 4 liters, maybe 10 liters if you're really sick and need oxygen. BiPAP, you're in that 40 to 60 liters of oxygen per minute coming out. Like, that's a lot of oxygen. And so our tank that normally would be filled once a month was getting filled like every 2 days. Remember, once a month to every 2 days, a truck had to come to fill us with oxygen. What was happening? Jackson Memorial needs it, Baptist Healthcare needs it, Orlando Health needs it, and the oxygens come from one place up in the Lake Worth area. Oxygen is produced. Or the next place you're getting oxygen from is South Carolina. What's happening with COVID? Every hospital system being inundated, asking for oxygen. So not only am I going to oxygen every 2 days, everyone else is going through every 2 days. When it was once a month, think about it. As a distributor, you can distribute, hey, I know I'm going to Jacob's location on Tuesday, but I know Vedner isn't going to need it until 2 weeks from now. So the cycle is nice and clean. Truckers that drive the oxygen tankers, because it's considered a hazardous material and is dangerous, they have limitations on how much they can drive. So you as a trucker cannot drive every single day. There are days and you're limited to the amount of hours you can drive. So the reason why I'm telling you this, I am sitting at Memorial Hospital Miramar with my team, and now we have to make a decision. The truck didn't come. We have 30 hours of oxygen, we had 20 hours of oxygen left. 20 hours of oxygen. You have patients across the board on oxygen, from the sickest of the sickest in ICU to the newborn and NICU, the neonatal ICU patients on oxygen. As a leadership team, we came up with a couple of contingency plans, but we came out to, you have to think of everything as a leader when we're talking about difficult decisions. Now we have to think, if you lose and the tanker doesn't come in time and you don't have enough oxygen, you now have to decide, because we have oxygen tanks, the little ones. But remember, a little oxygen tank, if you're on 2 or 3 liters of oxygen, can last a long time. But if you're on 60 liters of oxygen, that tank will be done in like 5 minutes. And that's our last resort. We had a bunch of them. There is no other oxygen anywhere else. So we have to make the decision, if the tanker doesn't come and we run out of oxygen, who gets the oxygen first? Who doesn't get the oxygen? Understanding the decision can be catastrophic. So as a leader, I'm sitting there, I'm with the team. What happens? Tanker shows up, connects to the oxygen tank, and the mechanism won't work. It will not release the motor that the 18-wheeler has that helps moves the oxygen, won't release the oxygen. Now the guy has to take the oxygen's in the tank, but his trailer head, he has to go and drive back to Lake Worth to go get another one to come back to connect it so that we can get the oxygen, because the oxygen is not being released. The pump is defective on the rig. Now we're waiting. Remember I told you we were like 20 hours? Now we're down to like 6 hours of oxygen left. I'm meeting with my team. I'm there. We're talking about, what are the contingency plans are we going to do? How are we going to distribute to know that if oxygen goes out, we need to be in NICU and make sure those newborn babies have oxygen. But then in the ICU, you have to look at it and say, this is patient X, 80 years old, COVID, multiple comorbidities, heart disease, diabetic, this, very sick, most likely may not survive their COVID condition right now. But here we have a 40-year-old Jacob, fairly healthy, also battling COVID, but is a 40-year-old.
Let me ask you, what's going through your mind? Because you're in that position, like you say, you have a very difficult decision. Most people do not have this decision. You're literally making a decision that will dictate some people's lives, right? What's going through your mind? Like, is it What's going through your mind when you have those difficult things?
Needless to say, going through my mind is, how did I come from Freeport, Grand Bahamas to this situation,
Yeah.
and why me? Clearly, the Memorial Healthcare System as a collective whole, we have these discussions, we have the support system. I personally am anguished because there is no right answer. There is no right answer. From my training, my clinical training, I would say, and remember, trying to be empathetic, because an 80-year-old that is not given oxygen, who probably wasn't going to survive at that time from this disease, how do you explain that to the family? Say, your loved one, your grandpa, your father, your loved one, they were 80. There's a possibility they weren't going to make it anyway. So we gave the oxygen to a 40-year-old. How do you make that decision on life? So these are scenarios playing in my head. We're having discussions. I'm telling you, Jacob, I went home. So that night in particular.
Did you sleep?
No, I couldn't. I remember having a conversation with my wife, Lorena, because we're waiting on when the tanker is going to come back. And by the grace of God, at like 1 o'clock, at like midnight around-ish, we get a call that the tanker is coming, that the tanker's on the way. And it was a tanker that had given oxygen elsewhere and was at South Miami Hospital, but was able to come and had the mechanism to allow us to be able to take out the oxygen from the piece of equipment that had oxygen there. That was the happiest, and granted, I was there for the birth of my son, but I'm telling you, that was the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. The relief.
The relief of that. But I speak about that experience because as a leader, it was the deepest I've ever had to dig in to myself, but it was the most complex, most thoughtful, most emotional conversations that great team at Memorial Miramar, we were having those discussions to understand that we were going to do anything and everything in our power to try to save everyone, although we know the possibilities were highly unlikely. The numbers were against us.
But let me ask you, for someone that that's listening in right now, they have no dreams of becoming a doctor. They want to listen to you because you're a CEO. You made these tough decisions. Looking back on that situation and other ones that you've had to make tough decisions, what's the moral of the story that you could explain to someone that is not in the medical field? I don't know.
So, team, you depend upon your team. A leader is only as good as the team. You hear this cliche all the time. Great leaders surround themselves with people who are smarter than they are. You want to hire people who are better than you because they have different angles, different views, different skill sets that synergistically, this is my favorite word in leadership, synergy. The ability for you working in a unit, us working in a unit is stronger than us as one individual. I described the hand. The thumb is a powerful digit. It's a powerful finger. But the hand is amazing. So each finger in their right has a value. But together as a hand, it's amazing what you're able to accomplish. That's synergy. So synergistically working together. And you want that by having people who are strong, have strengths in different areas.
And I think the two big morals that I take from that is find people that are strong where you're weak, and then have that relationship where you can depend on them. When all goes bad and everything, you have to... There was a saying that I read the other day. Your character is shown when everything is going wrong. So what is the team are we going to be solution driven, or are we going to be like, well, we're out? And it's funny, you said right now that you talked about hiring. When you hire, you want to find people that are strong where you're weak. So let me ask you, let's say I want to become a doctor, go to medical school, want to come from Memorial. You're my boss, I look up to you, I admire you. I'm like, man, I want to be in that position one day. Or, I just want to be in this culture. What are the principles that you're trying to instill in me?
So there are things that are innate to you that define Jacob, that make you who you are, that you're going to bring, that's going to be important. I can tell you right now, from just having had this engagement with you, you're outgoing, you want to learn, you show me as someone that takes initiative, you want to do more things. I want to leverage that. Say, you know what? Here I have Jacob coming in, Dr. Jacob's coming in right now, and you know what? This is an outgoing person, has a lot of energy. So first thing that I'll target, saying, listen, let's get you out. Let's get you out there in the community. Let me have your engagement. Let me have you go to some of the association meetings. Let me have you join some of the chambers and different committees so that you can engage. Because now you're going to build that relationship, your outgoing personality. You're going to be teaching people about your specialty, why it is that you do what you do, why it is that you care about people and how to make them better and provide care. And that strength of yours is what we'll leverage.
Leveraging the other person's strength.
That is correct.
So let me ask you, just to get a little bit more, if you had to break it down to 3 principles that you're leveraging my strengths already, but I'm still not the position where you would want me to be, what are the 3 principles that you're double downing?
So I look for, in hiring, for me, non-negotiable integrity. You have to have integrity. That person has to have integrity. I have to believe they're a person with integrity. If not, I don't want you on my team. It's fundamentally important, especially in healthcare. Because you coming in, you're trusting me that I'm doing the right thing. Again, a lot of people didn't know what happened during COVID and how close we were to that doomsday scenario, right? Yeah. That I presented. But families trust me that I am doing the best that I can as a leader to take care of their family members. They're entrusting in me and their staff. Integrity, for me, is fundamentally important. Secondly, is going to be ability. And what I mean about ability is, does this person have the ability to do the job? Are they capable of functioning in the task and role that I'm asking for them? And the last one that I look at, what kind of goes with the ability, is potential. You hire for potential. I hire you now coming in and I say, Jacob, I see you're in that media space. I hire you on the marketing team. But I see that your potential goes beyond marketing. That at some point, maybe because you're out there, you're learning, you're engaging, I say, you know what? Jacob would be a great person to put on the strategy team, because that potential that I've seen in him goes beyond just media relations, marketing. I see that this is someone, when we talk about what does healthcare look like for the consumer in 5, 10, 15 years, this is someone that I know that will do the due diligence and has a potential to grow into that space.
I like that.
So those are important when I look to hire anyone on my team. You don't necessarily have to be, I've been doing this for 20 years, I'm a seasoned veteran. No, I'm willing to take the rookie with 1 year and no experience.
And so you'll take that bet, because a lot of people say, well, you know, when I look for someone, I look, have you been an executive before? Have you been this before? You would rather take someone without the experience and coach them up, or someone with the experience that doesn't want to be coached?
I would say it's situational and it's a combination. I was never a CEO. I'll tell you the story. So I become the chief. I become the director of the department. I then become the admin director. So I'm moving up the ranks. And then finally, I'm the vice president over the oncology program for the Memorial Healthcare System. There's a decision made that we're going to build a new cancer center. And the new cancer center is almost done at Memorial Hospital West, so we're super excited about that. And in the planning for the cancer center, this cancer center is almost like a freestanding hospital. We initially thought it was going to be a cancer hospital, but we just made it a cancer center. And thinking that it's going to be a cancer center, a cancer hospital and bigger, I'm thinking, hold on. I'm the VP now, but if it's a cancer hospitals usually have an administrator or CEO. So I have the conversation with Aurelio Fernandez, who was our CEO at the time. And I said, Aurelio, not for nothing, super excited that you've given us the money to build this and given us a green light to build this cancer center. But I'm just telling you now, I don't want to build it and have somebody else come in and be responsible for the charge. So the opportunity becomes available for Memorial Miramar to have a new CEO. And I get the call saying, Vedner, we would like you to apply for the position. All of that, I think part of it stems from me being courageous and going and saying, hey, if there's an opportunity for a admin or CEO position in a cancer program with this new building, I want to have that opportunity. Translates into, oh, you think you can be a CEO? Absolutely. And I provided my reasoning behind, listen, running the cancer program, we have 7 different locations, both in the hospital, outpatient, at Aventura at the time, at Memorial Regional Hospital, at Memorial Hospital West. So also offices in Memorial Miramar. So I'm thinking, yes, I am responsible for this large service line, which is a large revenue producer and provides a lot of health care and has been outstanding. I think I can successfully be a CEO.
So you have to believe in yourself.
You have to believe in yourself as well. And so the opportunity presents. Thank God I was selected as CEO.
Yeah.
And unfortunately is at the time when COVID was ravaging our community, and I was able to do it. So it's
I think that was the first test of your leadership.
One of the first, but major.
I want to read you a poem that I found. I was reading a book. It's a leadership poem. I want to get your opinion on it. So it says, when I look in the mirror, what do I see? One side is everything I ever hoped to be, yet my greatest problem is staring back at me. There are times where I rush out to get ahead and leading where I need to be led. Courage is needed. How can I overcome me? How can I lead others with authenticity? I'll remember the best and worst in me. Doing this will help me grow humbly. Let me ask you, are there places where you lead other people? You say, do this, but then you look at yourself, you look in the mirror, you say, I need to be led here sometimes.
Yes. And that's why you have to be able to take a step back. You have to assess. So one of the things that helped me, one of my skill sets that I've developed, I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt for process improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And in process improvement, one of the most important things in process improvement is called the VOC, voice of the customer. Voice of the customer. Think about that. The voice of the customer. So as a leader, my staff, my team, they're the customers. So I have to listen to them. So when sometimes my innate wanting to say, no, we need to get moving and I'm going to jump in, my brain takes back and says, Vedner, listen to what the customers are saying, listen to what the team is saying, and let's strategize and work. Because I do a lot of this process improvement, I look at many things as a project. I look at it from that perspective. I think one of my favorite quotes is kind of, if you want to lead yourself, lead with your head. But if you want to lead others, lead with your heart. Because when you know that I care about you, it's more likely that you're going to be receptive to the feedback that I'm going to give you, which sometimes may be negative, may not be the best, but also the positives as well, and so on. Think about that. You can walk into a room and it's the most brilliant doctor on earth. But if the bedside manner is horrible, what are you going to say? Oh, absolutely not. I don't want to deal with this person. They don't care about me. All they care about is I'm patient number X, and their focus is on my medical condition, but not me as a person. But if you show that empathy and the doctor comes in and focuses on the patient and say, how are you? This is what we're going to focus on. We're going to work together as a team. When they start talking about the condition, the treatments, the experience is different. I look at it the same way from leadership. Everyone knows my saying is good day. I say good day to everyone. At this point in time, everyone knows, Vedner, it's going to be a good day. And the reason why, when I was in school in the Bahamas, the headmaster of our school, or the principal here in the U.S., had a saying. You would say good morning. He says, no, I will not accept your good morning. I'll accept your good day, because you're with me here all day and I want a good day out of you.
Interesting.
Just a good morning.
I had a coach that would say great morning. He says, I don't want a good morning. I want a great morning. That's how I say.
So, and so I say that because I mean it.
I want to pick your brain. I know we have 9 minutes left. Should be quick. You have a son or a daughter?
I have a son.
Son, 8 years old. 8 years old. Okay. Let's say he asked, Dad, if you could break down the biggest thing that you've learned from your career, right? When he's a little older, what's your biggest advice that you can give me? What would you tell them?
I would tell them appreciate people, and my number one as a leader, be curious, not furious.
Priest.
When a mistake happens in a hospital, something is left in a patient, something went wrong. What's the natural tendency? You get angry.
Yeah.
How could that possibly have happened? But in actuality, you should be curious. How did that happen? Like, why did that happen? What failed? How did it happen? What happened? Where did it happen? Focusing on these things. Not how did it happen, but focusing on the W's, the what occurred, where did it happen, when did it happen, to better understand. I believe, and this is me, that nobody wakes up in the morning and says, listen, I'm going to come to work today and I'm going to make it a living difficulty for any person I engage with. I am going to carelessly not do what I was trained and educated to do.
Yeah.
That I know is better. So when things happen, I go, Jacob, what happened? I want to better understand what happened compared to me saying, Jacob, it's unbelievable that you did. Because you got to be curious and not furious. And for leaders, that's the hardest thing. Because when something goes wrong and it's something that has to go out to the media, now we have to talk to the media about how is it that you left a clip in a patient? What protocols are you following? You get defensive, right? Because you're kind of thinking that you're being attacked, where in actuality, you should look at it from the perspective of
curiosity.
Yeah, what happened? And for myself, appreciate people and be curious, not furious when people do certain things.
I appreciate your time. It means a lot. I know you have a very busy day, so I appreciate you taking your time out of the day. I hope you guys learned something. I learned a lot. I think just to summarize it, ability, potential. Wait. Ability, potential. Oh my gosh.
Most important, the number one, integrity.
Integrity, yeah. I was like, it's right on the tip of my head. Integrity. Kind of learning about your story, how becoming CEO wasn't normalized. And I don't think you were a product of your environment. I think you were a product of what you believed in. And you believed in yourself to get greater, so you got greater. Education, doubling down on education. Hiring people that are strong where you're weak. I think it nails all the points. And I definitely think it's going to hit some people out there that wherever you lead in your life, whether it's a sports team, a business, you're at home, whatever it is, I think that transcends and can be related to every industry or whatever it may be. So thank you for your time. Anything else you want to leave off on?
Absolutely. You've covered it again. Integrity, ability, potential.
That's what it's about.
Potential is important.
I like that.
And no, thank you for your time, and it was my pleasure.
Thank you. Hope you guys made it. Well, you made it to the end if you made it here. Well, thank you guys for making it to the end, and I'll see you guys on the next one.